My biggest joy was at the end of the transaction, like, oh, you didn't make enough. Like, you worked so hard for us. I love that. I want people to just feel like they get so much value.
So the question is this: how do most agents find the secrets to succeed in today's competitive real estate market, especially when the top agents are keeping those secrets to themselves? That's the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. Hi, I'm Aaron Amuchastegui, and welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. Real Estate Rockstars. This is Aaron Amuchastegui. Today I get to interview Jen Nelson with the Nelson Group. She's from Phoenix and Scottsdale, Arizona. We should have hit record. We've been talking for about 15 minutes. We've been talking about GoBundance. We've been talking about kids and family and social media and past podcasts and all the fun stuff. So I already feel like I know her, but now I get to introduce her to you guys. So Jen, how's it going?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. I love the podcast.
Thank you for being a listener. My favorite interviews to get to do are people that have been on here and got to learn from other agents. And today I asked Jen, what was her biggest goal for coming on today? And she said to give back and provide value. She said she got so much value from the podcast. All she wants to do today is be able to do the same. What is life like right now out in Scottsdale and Phoenix?
Well, it is busy. Yeah. January for us is our busiest season. So March typically is the busiest month of the year for our MLS. So we're the fifth largest city in the US, but we're a spread out population. We have a huge metro, and we have about 300 people a day moving here. I'm sure like a lot of, Texas and Florida, Arizona has a lot of both domestic and international migration. So it's great. It's busy. We're still, we're in a situation this weekend, 22 offers for one house. And I think almost half of them were cash, not a cheap house. So it's busy.
That's unique for January. I mean, I think in a lot of markets, January slows down a bit. I mean, a year ago, January, it was a pretty slow month. People trying to figure out what the year was going to be like. But I think, like you said, Scottsdale and Phoenix it's really like these are your busy months because of the weather, right? Yeah. People come visit Arizona, like it's 40 degrees in Austin, Texas right now. People go to Scottsdale at 70.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's 68 right now. So, we have snowbirds. So we have a lot of seasonal visitors, up to 3 million between October and May. So we just stay really busy. It's actually kind of nice because our summers taper off. July tends to be our slowest month. So very opposite of a lot of markets. Yeah.
People have been moving to Phoenix and Scottsdale forever, right? Like it's kind of been a lot of cities have been growing, but I lived in Avondale for 3 or 4 months many years ago. And when I lived out there was just an apartment complex and nothing else. And I drove through there 6 months ago, and there was and it was literally like our apartment complex and nothing for miles. Yeah. And I drove through there and I found it, and it was just like this giant place now all filled in. So the people just been moving to Arizona forever, right?
They are. So it's been, I think we're the 6th year in a row of the top 4, maybe biggest metros in terms of growth. But we also have businesses. So COVID stayed really busy for us. 2020 was actually a pretty banner year for me and for my team, 2021 as well. But we have so many high tech businesses, so many high level, high wage earner businesses coming and bringing hundreds of people. So with that infrastructure, there's just a high demand for housing. We're about 2.2 million units short of our housing demand. So
those statistics, I mean, as agents, knowing your statistics in your area, knowing what that demand is, what that housing demand is, makes such a big difference, because when you're trying to predict the future, it's really hard, right? Mm-hmm. No one could have predicted that COVID was going to happen, but you can look at things like how many people are moving here and how many houses are available and what's next. How long ago did you become an agent?
So I kind of came in backwards. 2000, I think it was 17, I got licensed. Mm-hmm. I started in 2001 as an investor. So I bought the ugliest house I could find on the beach. Yeah. So went backwards, builder, developer, investor for a lot of years. And then agent side, 2017, I think.
Okay. So you had been in real estate, and was that builder investor out in Arizona, or where was it?
I started in Seattle, actually. So yeah, I bought a little pink and purple house with skunks on the beach. It was awful, and had a lot of fun, had a lot of energy. We flipped that one, thought it was really fun before HGTV had all the fun shows to tell you how to do it in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we did a couple more, then we did a couple dozen more, and sold a company there, came out here for a wedding, and just were amazed. We couldn't beat the quality of life. So we kind of never left, came here in 2004.
So that's what happens, right? That's why people are moving to Scottsdale. They go out there in January at 68 degrees. They can go golfing. They can go swimming in the pool. And they say, what are we doing living somewhere else? And then summer hits and you just stay inside, right? That's what happens. I learned in Austin.
Right. The cost of living is so good here that most people go to the mountains, which is about an hour and a half. You can get a really cute little house for under 200, or you go to the beach, which is about 5.5 hours. So
that's crazy. All right. Yeah. So I get it. I get the draw. And then even when it's too hot in Texas, most people are flying to Colorado. There isn't a place within driving distance where it cools down from Austin. You have to fly somewhere cooler to do that. How many transactions did you guys do last year?
We did 32. So kind of a slower year for me, if you will. I built a team. So kind of in that J curve, jumped off the bridge, grabbed some agents who are wonderful.
What did you do the year before?
I think I did. I don't have those numbers in front of me. Forgive me. I think it was 40.
Okay. So you'd done 40 in 2020, and then 2021 decided to build a team. So like you said, that J curve, a lot of times when you're building a team, trying to set up long-term stuff, less time to grow that by yourself. What's average price point in your category?
So for general, I think we're just over 500. I want to say 550. That includes some townhomes. So if you go to single family only, we're about 850.
Okay. So 2017, you come into the market, the kind of pretty, I don't know, I think there's a lot of agents that's about the amount of time. If there was essentially no crash, market was steady in 2017. There was competition out there, but I mean, most places there was 3 to 4 months of inventory. So it was just, getting the business and going through. It wasn't any easier to be a buyer's agent or a listing agent. It was just kind of hard work. What do you remember back to about 2017?
Well, you're right on point. In our market, average days on market, I think was about 4 months, which was good. It wasn't the frenzy that came with COVID. I had been a builder and developer and investor through the crash here. So I kind of joke that I have PTSD and I'm pretty conservative as a result with my finances and just kind of with market stuff. But it was a good market. I think that, 2017, I spent about 2.5 months setting up my systems because I'm a nerd and I wanted to make sure that I could serve clients with excellence, that I really knew my numbers. And then I jumped right in and had a great year. I think I did 6-7 months. I jumped in mid-year and I think I took home GCI of about 85. But it was a lot more babysitting your properties and getting to know your owners. And that part I enjoy, getting to spend time with people. I love our clients. So it was different. There wasn't the frenzy.
Yeah. I mean, bringing home $85,000 in a new job and a new career first year is nothing to be ashamed about, right? That's a pretty exciting thing to go like, wow, this is, way better than the average job out there. Right.
Absolutely. I mean, I was shocked, to be honest. I was really grateful. I just really love my clients. And so it was such an honor and it was so fun. And my biggest joy was at the end of the transaction, like, oh, you didn't make enough. Like you worked so hard for us. I love that. I want people to just feel like they get so much value. It has exploded since then. It's that snowball effect, being consistent, loving on people. We mimic our client giant kind of. So after the transaction, we send them out to dinner when they've kind of had time to rest and unpack. We call them, we're like, hey, we want to celebrate you now that it's settled down. And it's funny because we did that because we wanted to celebrate people, but it started generating these referrals, 2-3 weeks after the transaction when they can think clearly again. They'd be like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm sending you, X, Y, Z. So it was definitely a snowball. I got real busy after that. It was fun.
Yeah. What do you think? What's something that you learned during that first year that you wish or what's something you've learned over the last 5 years that you wish you would have known that first year?
I can't do it all. I think that's the biggest takeaway. I have an amazing TC. I worked till midnight a lot of nights that first year, 2 years. Mm-hmm. And, I'd be up at 5 with my kids and I'd be working till midnight, 1 o'clock almost every night, just double checking contracts and all the things. My husband sat me down. He's like, you can't keep doing this. You need help. So find somebody. And kind of God's grace, if you believe in faith, she's amazing. She'd been in my office 31 years. We had all these people in common, and she loves that, chasing down the initials. And she's just an excellent transaction coordinator and just a good human. She's amazing. So I wish I'd done that sooner. I was able to scale a lot when I got her.
Real Estate Rockstars, this is Aaron Amuchastegui for a quick commercial break. So during 2020 and 2021, the real estate market completely changed. There's so much competition in the market, so many people trying to buy and sell houses, but there's hardly any supply, hardly any product, hardly anyone willing to list their homes. It's time for every agent out there to become a hybrid agent investor, to be able to reach out directly to homeowners to try to get them to sell or list their house. We've got a new website. Go to leadpropeller.com and you can set up your own investor buyer website in just minutes. You'll set up your own URL, set up phone numbers, help go through to leads, help reach out to people that aren't listing their property currently, and have them fill out a form that says, hey, I want to sell my house. And then as an agent, you can go through and make them a hybrid offer. You can tell them, hey, I think your house would sell for $220,000 on MLS, but I can either write you a $180,000 cash offer right now, or I can help you fix it up and you'll list it for $220,000 on MLS. These are buyers that are looking for quick cash offers. Tens of thousands are submitting these forms every single day, and they're skipping the listing process. But so many of you guys out there are such good agents. It's a great opportunity to get that lead and help them maximize sales price for their home. So again, go to leadpropeller.com and think about signing up for your own investor site, so buyers will start reaching out to you, asking you to make an offer on their home. Early in real estate, it's tough to want to scale because I don't know if it's just the mindset of scarcity or what, but paying anybody to do something that you can do. It's like, why would I pay someone $200, $400, $500 to do this when I can do it myself, without being able to realize and maybe it's not giving ourselves enough credit, like highest dollar productive activity. Like, where am I earning my most money? When you have to look at it, say, what's the part of the transaction that only I can do? Right? Like the interaction, the fight, and what's the part of the transaction that I can hire out to do? And it's not that easy. I think most people say, I should have gotten help sooner. I should have got that transaction coordinator sooner. It was just worried about spending the money, or not thinking hey, because you almost have to have this mindset that says it's the wrong word. It's not really this is below me, but my time I'm a better earner at this. This is how much I can make per hour working over here instead of doing this part.
I think you're exactly right. I think mindset is 80% of the job, showing up and knowing your stuff, knowing your numbers, fighting hard for your clients, but you can fight with grace. You can fight and be kind. And then exactly that, the scarcity mindset is, I didn't realize it was perpetual. When you first come into the business, you are like, oh, I got a deal.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I got another one. Whoa, this is crazy. Well, now, 5 years later, there is cycles, sure, but there's consistency in the business. And I really wanted to grow a business. I never wanted to be an agent. We've had, businesses over the years, we've bought, we've sold. So I always had that mindset too of, hey, this is going to be a business. I want to grow this. So what do I need to outsource to do that, and to be present with my clients, present with my family? But at first it was a little bit out of control, and that scarcity mindset.
What is something that an agent should be thinking about right now? If they're thinking if they've never even heard that, right? Wait, I have a job right now, but I should be growing a business. What's the difference? How should an agent be treating their life different if they're trying to grow this long-term business that they can, grow and be a part of, compared to being an agent and really making themselves a job?
Well, yeah, that's a perfect question. I like my job, but I don't always want to do my job. So I try and fire myself from the stuff I'm not excellent at. For instance, I have an amazing agent on my team who is awesome at social media. I'm not. So is it really my fiduciary responsibility to do the best for my client? Yes. So if that's the case, what am I not excellent at? And then how can I either hire it, outsource it, to grow the business so that I have some time freedom and so that I can be fully present with my client? I think that's the mindset shift. If I'm just working a job, I'm going to grind. And 30 years later, I'm going to wake up and I just did a lot of hustle, which is great. For me, I wanted to have more balance. And I wanted to build a business. I was very intentional, even about my entity structure, right? What does that look like? Am I a PLLC? How do I protect my assets? Kind of high level thinking it's a little different, I think, than just saying, hey, I've got a job. The mindset too with having a job is somebody's going to do it for me or somebody's hiring me. They're not. They're asking you to go do your job, but they're asking you to build your business. And if you're not building your business perpetually, real intentionality around that, and you're waiting for somebody to give you leads or give you referrals, it's not going to be sustainable. You really need to kind of grow those muscles yourself.
How did you get deals your first year? Like, were you more a buyer's agent, more a listing agent? How did you generate that?
It feels like a long time ago. I was surprised. One of my first deals was a sweet friend, kind of an acquaintance whose family was in real estate. So I was a little freaked out. But it was a lot of SOI. And I got a couple of agent referrals that first year as well. So I think I was higher buyer side, but I did have a couple of listings that first year.
Yeah. And then how do you get most of your deals now?
So out of the deals we did this year, only 2 of them were not referrals, which was kind of wild to look at my numbers. So 30 of them were referrals, past clients. I do a lot of agent referrals from feeder markets. So a lot of Chicago tends to be one of our biggest ones, the Northwest, Seattle, Portland, and then a lot of Orange County and LA. So as well as past clients, we do lots of multi-generational. So I've worked with grandkids, parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers, aunties, uncles, which is a lot of fun. And the other 2 that were not direct referrals this year were actually people who found us online. So either Instagram or Google My Business or something like that.
Wow. So very simple stuff. So how do you make sure, what are some of the things that you do? I mean, you mentioned one of them, right? Like Client Giant, like after they close, you're trying to celebrate them. What are some ways that you're getting all these referrals? I'm sure a lot of agents, when they hear that, they're like, great, I would love to do more referrals too. I would love it if most of my business was through referrals. I know it's not by accident. How do you form your business to be able to do that?
Good question. So we try to do, I guess our core values is we try to do everything with excellence. So we want to show up, we want to be the authority, not because we're commanding it, but because we actually know what we're doing, right? So continual learning, active in the market every single day. But also, I love that Mother Teresa quote, people will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And so throughout the transaction, I have a client care guru. She's awesome. And when we have a new client, we actually call, Katie does, and she says, hey, we're super excited to work with you. We have some really fun questions, right? So this is after the contract is accepted. And clients, it's actually one of their favorite things. We do an intake and we say, what's your favorite coffee? How do you order your Starbucks? What are you allergic to? What's your favorite flower? Where do you go for fun? And it's so funny because it sets up the transaction and has this precedent of people feeling seen and known and cared for. And then we have some intentionality around that. So, once they get under contract and the contingencies removed, Katie sends them something on their list. So it might be a DoorDash, their favorite coffee and their favorite pastry. It's something to celebrate them. And we do that throughout the whole contract. So, congratulations, your contingencies are removed. I'm not going to send them champagne if they don't drink, Yeah. So we wanted to be very intentional about that. And I think that's truly one of the favorite things that clients talk about. So that goes all the way until about 2 weeks after the contract. And there are a lot of referrals throughout that process. We do client events. So a couple of times a year, we're doing events, really trying to foster community. A lot of people are coming here to the Valley and are new. So we want to give them, community, and we want to give them fun things and kind of showcase our local businesses, right? So that's a lot of fun for us. And we keep in touch. So the nerd side of me is, we have newsletters that are monthly. I do BombBomb videos with market updates. We do a lot of text video. We're very video centric. We do YouTube. We do virtual tours. Social media is real big. So people see that you're out and active in the community, providing value and providing personality. They want to know you, like you, trust you. So how do you do that? Well, you show them who you are, and then hopefully you attract your tribe.
Yeah. Hey, real estate rock stars. This is Aaron Buchastegi, and I'm interrupting myself to bring you this commercial break from one of our sponsors. And I know you guys would much rather listen to the content and not the ads and not the sponsors, but this is one that I'm actually super, super excited with. You know, so many of the realtors that we interview on the show, they talk about how much systems are important and how much follow-up is important. And I'm really, really excited about our new sponsor. There's somebody I've been looking at for a long time. And when they reached out to me, I said, yes, we have to be able to do this deal. So that sponsor is Follow Up Boss. You know, on an interview last week with agent Mark McGuire, I asked him what his favorite software and what his favorite system was. And he said it was Follow Up Boss. And then he went on for another 3 or 4 minutes to talk about why Follow Up Boss was the best CRM he uses. So there's a lot of superstars out there that use Follow Up Boss. Some of the stats they gave me: Robert Slack, 1.5 billion team in Florida, #1 in the US. He uses Follow Up Boss to get a 400% ROI on his massive paid lead spend. Deborah Beagle, co-owner of the Ashton Group in Nashville, uses Follow Up Boss to guarantee that agents who join her team get 2 homes under contract in the first 90 days. That's a big guarantee for new agents. Barry Jenkins of Your Friends in Real Estate uses Follow Up Boss to automate everything so his team can produce 200 million on 25-hour work weeks. All right, so here's an offer. You guys are going to get this special for being Real Estate Rockstars listeners. Now, I've used Follow Up Boss. We've actually used it in our non-real estate businesses as well because it's so good at being able to set timers, set automatic texting and emailing, and what do you know? Best name ever, Follow Up. So here's what we got. For Real Estate Rockstars listeners, you get a 30-day free trial. That's normally 14 days. So in order to get this, you go followupboss.com/rockstars. So again, followupboss.com, just like it sounds, /rockstars. Go there, get your 30-day free trial and check it out. Especially if you aren't using any systems or any CRMs yet, this will be a great one for you to start with. All right, everybody, thanks again. Now back to our show. I like it. And as you were saying that, I'm like, I want to get a list of those questions that you ask. And in your intake, you said, actually, that's what we're going to be providing to the Toolbox. So for listeners, everybody that comes on, they provide something of value, something you can go download and look at. You go to hibandigital.com, you click get the Toolbox, you get access to all of that stuff. And Jen's going to provide a few things for the Toolbox. One was that client intake questionnaire, and it says seller checklist, and then a final few things. Is that all kind of part of that same strategy?
Yeah, a little bit. So the other thing we try and do consistently, and hopefully we excel at this, is that we try to be proactive. We don't want clients waiting on us. So communication wise, we are super proactive. Clients hear from us almost daily. And we try and anticipate questions. So a lot of systems around our emails that go out at different parts of the transaction. Even for my buyers, right? Buyers are hard right now. We have a menu. We have 12 questions. We ask our buyers, hey, here are some ways we can be competitive. Here's your monetary ways. Here's your non-monetary ways. What's best for you? Also, here's what the seller said is their highest priority. Can we do that? If not, how else can we sweeten the offer? So just a lot of systems and a lot of anticipation around the different parts of the transaction, the sticking points, the questions that come up, and hopefully a lot of proactivity, to anticipate the client's needs.
Yeah. Kind of one of the things that we talked about before you even got on the show was about growing the business. So we talked a little bit about growing that business and strategies behind it. You've talked about defining your values. Yeah. Right. And being able to kind of hire through your values and things like that. Talk about that for a second.
Sure. So I really love our clients. And I know that sounds trite, possibly cheesy, which is probably valid, but we try, my team, I joke I'm never hiring, but we try to really lead with our values. One of them is doing everything with excellence. Another is continual learning. We'll have Instagram stories of what the books we're reading, right? Client care packages we're putting together, again, real specific, selected, hand curated. One of them is generosity. We really love being generous. I'm super excited. I'm taking my team to the spa this month, couple weeks. So generosity with our clients, generosity with each other. And then part of our intake is we ask the client if they have a favorite charity. So we donate 10% of each transaction to a charity. So we try and not only live our values, but kind of show that in our social media and our marketing, both traditional and print. And then we also kind of explain that to our clients in our pre-list packet. It comes through with our core values. And we have we don't work with everybody policy. In Arizona, I've been in the industry for a long time now, a couple decades. So I've seen what happens when the tide goes out, right? And you see he's not wearing any swimsuits. I don't want to be working with people whose integrity I don't trust. And the reason I say that is we're very intentional about working with clients who match our integrity, kind of our integrity level or standard, I guess. We want people, here's a for instance, we had a call not too long ago. Somebody was referred to us. We wanted to, go out and meet them. It was great. They were saying some things that would violate fair housing. And it's not worth us losing our license. And it's certainly not worth us aligning with that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not racist, but, and then they say all these things. We go, whoa, I'm going to stop you right there. We can't work together. You can't say things like that. I can't lose my livelihood. Right, and right. I want to make sure that you understand that I appreciate you and I appreciate candor, but here's where the line is and you've crossed it. So in terms of values, we're careful, I guess, in making sure that we, and we put it in the contract. If we ever have concerns and we have a fire me clause, you can fire me, I can fire you. I've never been fired, but I want to make sure it's what's best for the client and it's not going to get us in hot water.
I tell you what, you have to be really clear on your values and beliefs to be able to have something like that happen and to be able to confidently say, wait, we need to stop. We can't go any further.
Yeah.
Right. Because people get into all these gray area situations all the time.
Yeah.
And the biggest reason we get into them is they weren't prepared for them or they weren't really, really clear of what they would do if they get in that certain situation. But if you have clearly defined values, like these rules of, hey, we never lie, we're always generous. If you've got these 5 or 6 rules, and there's gonna be some listeners right now that don't have their values defined yet, right? This will be the first time they're thinking, oh, core values is a part of my business. But having those values laid out ahead of time, listeners, helps you when you come into one of those situations to go, these are the lines I do not cross.
Yeah.
Right. They say, people shouldn't hang out in certain areas or certain situations, get themselves in certain situations. You can only get yourself in these certain situations if you're very clear about what lines won't be crossed, what values you're going to have. So you talk about you're never hiring, but if you see somebody out there living, if you're at the movie theater and you're getting treated with some of my favorite thing to do is like, different times I'm out there and I see somebody at a movie theater or something that's like so good at customer service or like running back and forth at different time. I'm like, you should come to work for me. I would love to have this person come work for me because they did such a good job at solving this, or that person was just screaming at them and they were able to handle that so well. Like, I would love it if they joined my team. Are you, is that what you mean when you say you're never hiring, but you're always hiring?
Yeah, totally. My first agent actually worked at our church and she met me in a season where I had a lot of crazy going on, right? I was getting audited. There was just all this stuff. And we had been acquaintances for a lot of years. But I knew her integrity. And so she's like, I think I'm going to get my license. Can I pick your brain? You bet. So we chatted, we had coffee. And she goes, hey, I think I want to do this. I was like, okay, well, why don't you come and assist and you can kind of walk with us. But I had her meet Cynthia, my TC. And I said, let's just date. Let's see how this goes. Because I wanted the gel to work. I wanted the camaraderie, the morale to be awesome. And so she ended up being my first hire, but I'd already known her hustle, her integrity. Warren Buffett has a famous quote, hire, I think it's wisdom, hustle, and integrity. But if you can't hire the first 2, just hire integrity because I can't train that, but I can train the rest. Right. My second agent was a referral of a referral. So we had a lot of people in common. And she came and she said, hey, can I just ask you some questions? I'm on this team and I have some concerns about some ethics stuff going on. And I was like, great, we'll grab coffee just so you know I'm not hiring. She goes, okay, well, let's just, so we had coffee and And I was like, I really like what I'm hearing. So I kind of checked her out and then had her do the same thing. Hey, I'm going to have you meet, my team, and we're going to see how this goes, including our client care coordinator. She's amazing. So there's 5 of us, but I wanted to make sure the morale was right. We had a server recently. She was a rock star. She was in a restaurant. My husband goes, "You want to hire her, don't you?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." She was so good. So I think that if you have that moral compass or that integrity piece, and the hustle is great, you can train the rest.
Yeah. Hey, real estate rock stars. This is Aaron Muchastegi with a quick commercial break. Now, you've been listening, you've been waiting, and now the big Rent Ready mystery can be revealed. Rent Ready just launched rental property accounting for landlords. It's so new, I haven't even got a chance to check it out yet. Now you can easily connect your rental properties from Rent Ready to an accounting software created specifically for landlords with Rent Ready's newest partner, REI Hub. I've used a lot of payment processing systems in the past, and it's always been a challenge, even asking them to generate APIs so it can talk to our existing systems. And they're really, any software that collects payments doesn't make it very easily to do that. But now with Rent Ready, you can automatically transfer properties and charges from your Rent Ready profile. You can track your income and expenses with matching rules and payment templates to speed up your bookkeeping. View your profit and loss or cash flow by property or unit. Get your portfolio's balance sheet, schedulees, and more. Guys, we're so excited about this, and here's something even more exciting. As always, with Rockstars, you get a special opportunity. If you're not currently using Rent Ready, you can sign up using our special code ROCKSTAR50 and get 50% off your Rent Ready subscription. Once you set up your properties, you can add rental property accounting as a premium feature. If you're currently using Rent Ready, go check out the new accounting features designed to save you time and money while you manage your business. And remember, it's Rent Ready with an I at the end, RENTREDI.com. Thanks for listening. Go check them out.
Yeah.
The people that love the idea that you can tell that they're hard workers. They like making people happy. They can deal with stressful situations. Yeah. So if somebody's going to ask, how do I create my values? Right? So some people are like, where do I start?
Yeah.
And what advice would you give them? Like, where do they start if they need to create their values and they do 3, do they do 5, do they do 10? What advice would you give them?
Awesome. Super good question. The book Vivid Vision is a favorite. So if you've not read it, highly recommend it. I spent actually a couple of days working on it. So I read the book, and then I grabbed a notebook and just kind of charted out a couple of things. But most importantly, spend some time really reflecting on what's your deal breaker, right? If you're in business would this break it for you? Where does that line lie for you? So as real estate agents, we're bound by fiduciary responsibility. If you're a realtor, ethics, right? That's big. And you can lose your license. You can get taken to court. You can lose your livelihood. So within even that kind of guidelines, there's a lot up there with our ethical guidelines, both with real estate agents and your MLS, and then if you're a part of NAR. And then aside from that, I would sit with just a notepad and really think through, in your perfect day, what gets you going? What gives you joy? And how do you want the world to perceive you? So if you are showing up and you are, the master of data, if you are the master of analytics, what is natural and authentic to you? And then what's the framework around that? Do you want to be the best? Do you want to always show up with excellence? Do you want to show up, with, I think most people want to show up with integrity. So I kind of go back to that. But for us, there's, continual learning. I think that's huge for most people. And there's just some really good frameworks in that book that I think will help set it up.
Yeah. Cameron Harold, wrote Vivid Vision. Brilliant guy. I've had him on the podcast before. I've been to a couple of his retreats. I've hung out. We've gone all over recently. Most saw him, I think, in Las Vegas just a few months ago as he was jumping around. But great. He's got a lot of good books on how to build business. And hadn't even thought about that one for advice for setting up, values for people. You talked a lot about kind of fiduciary responsibilities. One of the things in our notes, there's 2 of them. It's like fighting hard and playing nice. And then also like confidentiality among friends, among family members of things like that. Just talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, sure. So the acronym for fiduciary responsibility is carload. So there's 7 different things. The C is confidentiality. When you work in a market or in any market, when you're working with multi-generational or people who know each other, right? Confidentiality is huge. We have a lot of different conversations. We work with, generational wealth. We work with lots of people in a specific transaction or people who are in parallel transactions. And a big part of earning and retaining business is being the fiduciary and being confidential. So, Aaron, if you were like, hey, I'm going to refer you my brother, and then I start working with him, and you're like, hey, how's it going with my brother? I was like, oh, our standard response is, that's a great question. You should ask him. And I tell people that up front, like, hey, you know what? I'm happy to. Thank you so much. But I want to set the expectation up front that my fiduciary responsibility is now to this person. Thank you for sending them, but I have to take everything that they say and keep it confidential. So when you ask me, you're going to see that my response is this. I'm going to set a hard boundary. I'll do it with a smile, but you're not getting past that. So that's huge. There's a lot of, I could go through all 7. It would take a lot of time, but that's really important. And it really sets the precedent that you are an expert, you're a professional. And I think people trust you more when you do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah. So you've been a long time, and we're running low on time. This has been so much fun to get to chat. But you talked about being a long time listener to the podcast. There were a couple podcasts that stuck out to you, but one, the story you shared from that was so good. I want to make sure we share it again. But you talked about a gal that we interviewed that was also a mom. I need to kind of reshare some of that story and some of that experience and how that can apply.
Yeah, for sure. I loved this. So this was when I was kind of newer back to real estate, maybe 2018-ish. And it was a mom who was on the podcast. She was doing an expansion team, had some young kids. I think she was an Ironman. I like to run, so that too hit home. But she put a really kind of strong boundary around her time with her kids. She, in the podcast, said that, from 3 to 5, she was in a meeting. She was with her kids. She was at the bar stool doing homework, doing snacks, downloading their day. She would turn her phone off. And I loved that because as a mom, I've got a bunch of kids, and I wanted to have a framework around a way to love on my family, be present with my clients, but really be present with my kids on the after school space. It's so big. So I thank you. That was such a good podcast and really helped me establish boundaries that my agents now are adopting. I think all of us are moms. All of us on my team, we all have a bunch of kids, and it helps us be balanced, centered, happier, more present with our family, and more present with our clients.
I love being able to kind of call it a meeting, right? So much of our life in business is managed by calendars, right? And as agents, as entrepreneurs, there's always a meeting that we say, I didn't answer my phone because I was in the bank talking to the banker about this, or because I was talking to a new client. There's so many times when we're working with people in our business that we say, no, I'm not going to answer my phone because I'm in this, because I'm in a team meeting, because I'm in our quarterly meeting. So if there's times when we can say, no, I didn't answer my phone and I was away from emails because I was in this important meeting, having that daily important meeting with your family. And in some sense, I have people tell me like, hey, it's kind of ridiculous that I will put my family time in a calendar, right? They'll try to throw some guilt around that or something else where it's like, no, I'm going to take Brax to the gym on this day and I'm going to hang out with the kids at this time, or these are the hours when nothing can get booked. But being able to treat that like a meeting, it's just the way to solve it for me, because it's so tough, especially early on, right? In the beginning, if you're not hiring a transaction coordinator because you're worried that you need to do all the work or make all the own money, or that scarcity mindset, the agents want to be able to answer the call. They want to be able to say, but this could be the call that makes me $100,000. And that's true, right? But like the family, the support, and that balance, being able to go, no, this is my meeting that I have. This is my important meeting that I don't answer my phone during. I think I need to continue to do more of those. I need to continue to set more and more time in there. And I love that reminder and even the way podcasts work, right? We get to hear some of those tips and share it around, and then go, yeah, I can apply that. And this is how I'm going to apply it in my life.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Because that was formative in my setting up my business. It doesn't always work. I mean, full transparency, a lot of days where I have to be out with clients, but there's a lot of intention there. And my kids will actually take a pen and put their names in my schedule. So we'll do date nights, and so gets a date, or because they know they're my highest priority. So Sunday afternoons, we do family scheduling. Mm-hmm. And my kids play sports, all the things. So we put all that in the schedule, and then I work my appointments around that. So clients, they're great, and they're going to respect the boundaries. And I think we look like more of a professional if we have some boundaries around our family time. It's actually been really great and very respected by clients.
Well, Jen, this has been awesome. It's been so much fun. It's fun to get to go from people that I start chatting with on social media about podcasts and things like that to get to actually meet you in person. And we both got to, like we said, we got to share about GoBundance before the call and some of the other stuff that we've been doing. But people are going to want to reach out to you. They're going to want to, send people your way. They're going to want to ask you about real estate in Arizona. What's the best way for people to find you?
You bet. I'm always happy to take referrals. We love working with agent referrals. Phoenix Scottsdale is our market. On Instagram, there's a bunch of Jen Nelsons. So I'm at Jen Nelson _realtor, or Nelson Group Southwest, nelsongroupsw.com. So happy to chat. You guys can call, text, email, whatever.
So Jen Nelson _realtor. That's where Jen and I talk. This has been a lot of fun, and I'm sure a bunch of people will reach out to you. So Jen, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, coming on with the goal to add value. I think you added a bunch of value today.
Well, I really appreciate it. It's been so much fun. Thank you. And thank you for all you do. I love the podcast.
Thank you so much for those. And Real Estate Rockstars, as always, thanks for listening. All right, Real Estate Rockstars, this is Aaron Muchastegui jumping in again to thank you for listening to the show. Hopefully you guys loved listening to that one. And I want to make sure that you know about all of the extra resources that we have. And also, we need your help. They say podcasts are free. You get to listen to podcasts for free. But what is the cost of that podcast? I would say if I could beg you to pay anything for that podcast, I would say the cost of the podcast is going and giving a review. So whether you download it on Google or Apple or YouTube or anywhere else, please go give us a review. Say what you liked, what you didn't like. It helps us get better guests. The more reviews, the higher we get in the rankings. Right now, we are the biggest podcast out there for real estate agents, and we want to keep that spot because we know there's lots of podcasts out there. So go give us a review. Also, be sure to go to hibandigital.com. If you liked any of the resources that those real estate agents talked about, we've got a huge video vault of those resources for free. Every penny that comes on the podcast that we interview, they give us something that helps them get their deals or helps them work with their clients. And we put that in the toolbox in our vault for you. So go to hibandigital.com and you can get it. If you're looking for real estate education, go to rebusuniversity.com. We have all sorts of courses in there to help agents succeed in real estate, how to get the listing, how to negotiate deals, how to become an investor, all sorts of different stuff, rebusuniversity.com. And if you want to chat with me, go find me on Instagram. And if you come find me on Instagram, you can send me messages. Tell me what you want to hear. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. We try to put a bunch of content out there too. You can find me in 2 different places. It's at rerockstars.com for our Real Estate Rockstars page, or at aaronmuchastegui.com for my personal Instagram page, where I can chat with you about all sorts of different things. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again soon.